Welcome everybody to another Thursdays with RamDev, and I would like to talk about emotional freedom. I'd like to talk about how we can work with emotions as a meditative process, and particularly because for most people, emotions are what turn out to be the greatest obstacle to settle into a deeper meditative practice. In my own case, I've been meditating for a long time, 50 years now. I know a lot about meditation. I'm a very clever guy, and yet integrating meditative awareness, meditative equanimity into relationship, into work life, into activity has not been an easy thing. And I think that's the case for a lot of Westerners. So in this video, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to go into a 3-part process of dealing with emotions, finding freedom through emotions. And the first thing we'd like to talk about here is embodied mindfulness. Usually when an emotion arises, we get lost in the trigger. We get lost in, I'm angry at that person, I'm afraid of this situation, rather than what does it actually feel like to be having the emotion? And then there is the tendency to not even be in the present, but that our experience, particularly when emotionally aroused, is to be interpreting the present in terms of past conditioning. So that what we need to do to find freedom in this whole process is to be with emotions exactly the way they're arising in the body. Emotion, moving energy. Can we be with the way it feels rather than running away or getting lost in it? So that when an emotion arises, whether it's anxiety or fear or sadness or shame or guilt or whatever it might be, is it possible to be with, to make friends with the feelings in the body? Not just touch them briefly, but to be able to rest in the feeling of an emotion itself. Now, if you're somebody who has had emotional abuse, serious abuse in your life, maybe you don't want to dive into your most difficult emotions. You start with something a lot easier. But for everybody, there are emotions that are still at this workable level. Can you be with the feeling of anxiety? Can you be friends with it? Can you see that it's getting in the way at times, but also that it has the healing message? Very often emotions come in layers. So the first layer is I'm frustrated, I'm agitated, I'm anxious about something. And if we really pay attention to that anger, frustration, anxiety level, underneath that there's almost always some sadness about the way things are, about the incompleteness in our lives. And if we really pay attention to the sadness, then underneath that there's very often fear that it's always going to be this way, or here's where I'm stuck. So that any emotion can become the gateway, the portal into a deeper sense of being, a deeper sense of self that eventually leads us into freedom. So today we've been talking about embodied mindfulness as a way of befriending emotions. In the next 2 episodes, we're going to be talking about a heartfelt, compassionate relationship with emotions. And then finally, a tantric relationship with emotions. But first of all, healing only is going to happen to the extent we can do this first part of the process of being with, in a mindful, equanimous way, exactly the way emotions are arising in the body. Positive emotions, like the way we love each other, as well as difficult emotions. So much love. Bye-bye.